Hello and welcome to the Stress Mastery Podcast. Finally, it's Saturday, and I'm so thankful to be your host for the Saturday podcast. This week on the Stress Mastery Podcast, we've been talking about humility, and it's been a great week. I seriously loved every single episode. We have been talking about humility, and as a noun, it says a modest or low view of one's own importance, humbleness. Used in a sentence, he needs humility to accept that their way may be better than his. Well, this week, we've been discussing humility as freedom from pride, which is the ego. I've been thinking about this all week. Well, obviously, because I have to record a podcast, but what do I know about humility, and what does humility mean to me? I hadn't really thought about it all the ways that they've been talking about it on the podcast. So I've taken it more of like a lowly view of your own importance. To be humble means that I know that other people's ideas are better than mine. Unfortunately, it's also meant to me that I know that other people are better than me. I know that other people are smarter than me, prettier than me, and that they have better ideas than me. So that is freedom from pride, but it's kind of the opposite of it, right? I've had to struggle being proud of my accomplishments because I was taught it was wrong. Being proud of myself, being proud of my wins, big and little. You see, my ego is full of telling me that I'm not worth a damn, that I'm not good enough, that I'll never amount to anything, that it doesn't matter what I do, I'm just not good enough. That's not humility, people. That's low self-worth. That's feeling less of you than you really are. It's not seeing the value in yourself, and it's not right. So here's my religion chiming in my head again. I looked up some scriptures. I'm only going to read a few of them because there's many, many more on the subject, but you'll get the idea after reading them. I don't need to read them all. Romans 12:3. For the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think more highly of himself than he ought to think. Wow, that's went through my head about, 50,000 times probably. Galatians 6:3. For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. I think my third grade teacher told me that about 150 times. James 4:6. But he gives more grace. Therefore, he says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Got to be humble. Romans 12:16. Live in harmony with each other. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Okay, so if you take all those literally, you got to find a happy medium. And it's been really hard for me to get to that. So what do I feel about myself? I've been raised with those sayings, those scriptures, my whole life. I was in Catholic school. And by the way, you guys, I'm not against religion. I actually love religion and the Bible. I'm just trying to not be so stuck in it. I was raised in Catholic school, Catholic church my whole life until my mid-30s when I started going to a non-denominational church. When I tell you that religion is ingrained in me, it's because it's ingrained. Remember, I'm the girl that wanted to be a nun. So don't be stuck up, Peggy. God's going to punish you, Peggy. Don't be proud and boastful, Peggy. You're nothing special. Don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Do all good things in secret. That's what I was taught. That's what I believed. That's what I've held in mind my whole life. Well, shoot. How much thinking that I'm okay then is actually okay? I mean, this is a conundrum because I want to feel good about myself. I've worked really hard in my life. I want to know that I'm worthy and valuable, beautiful, strong, and capable because I am. I know I am. But I also know that I'm no better than you are. I know that as soon as I think I know something, I know absolutely nothing. See, in this life, we're all governed by our egos. Well, that is until we're not. We can self-author our lives, but this is no easy task. We have to really plan on it and stick to it. We all behave exactly the same, even though we're all completely different people, because we're human beings. Our behavior is dictated by what we held in mind, no matter who we are. So if we're going to change our lives to become the person that we really want to be, the person that we're created to be, then we have to change our mind. We have to change the thoughts. You know, I've worked so hard on coming up with grounding thoughts, like anchoring thoughts. You see, I am whole, perfect, powerful, and strong. I can be loving and peaceful and still be humble. I'm not thinking more of myself than I ought to just because I think that I'm a good person. That's who I am. There is power in the words I am. I think that comes from Wayne Dyer. Be careful of the words that follow I am, because wherever you go after I am, that's where you're going to go. So you don't have to put yourself down to be humble. You can just be you and be humble. You can be the smartest person in the room and still be humble. You can be the most beautiful in the room and be humble. You can lose 50 pounds and look like $1 million and be humble. You can achieve your greatest success, be proud of yourself, and still be humble. You can have self-worth through the roof and be humble. I'm finally getting it. You can speak highly of yourself and be humble. Talking good about yourself isn't bragging. Thinking highly of yourself is actually not a sin. I'm so happy that I've changed my inner dialogue, those anchoring thoughts, over the last few years, because now when I start putting myself down, if I say, oh, I'm a klutz or whatever, it's not comfortable anymore. We need to be careful about what we say about ourselves. You need to be careful about what you say about you, because that's who you're going to be. Remember, what you think you create. So if you want to change your life, you have to start projecting the words to the universe. I am magnificent. Let God know what you want. Let God know that you're going to accept who He created you to be, that you're ready to step into it, because He'll put the plan in motion. I'm a best-selling author. I'm an amazing speaker. I'm fit and strong. I look fantastic. And I don't look fantastic for my age. I look fantastic for any age. I'm a beautiful person and people love me. I know it's uncomfortable to say stuff like that, but you got to do it. I am. Say who you are and mean it. Feel it, see it, imagine it. That's who you'll become. You've got to be careful what you feed your mind. You're not your failures. You're not your mistakes. And you're not the thoughts that hold you back, because those thoughts become your reality. So think positive. Your reality is your identity. When your ego has all these things popping up into your head that you don't want to think, just stop thinking them. You don't have to think them just because they came in your head. Slow down a second. Take a breath. It's the ego that tries to speed everything up anyways. Take a breath. Connect to your heart. So it's kind of like when you have that connection to your heart, close your eyes, feel it. It's like you have this little secret place in there, like a secret garden where there's this heartbeat and a babbling brook and nobody else can touch it. Remind yourself, I am who God says I am. Or remind yourself, whatever that you like to say to be grounded. I know maybe not everybody connects themselves to God like I do. The happy pocket full of money reminded us constantly, I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. Bill Courtwright, I am whole, perfect, powerful, strong. I'm loving, harmonious, and happy. Peggy Romero, I am healthy. I live in peace with purpose in my life every day. Call it in. It's victory. It's healing. It's abundance and joy. And speaking of joy, there's joy in the journey. So enjoy every step of the way. There's joy in the process. You just got to connect to your true self. Stop letting the ego be in charge. Remember, the ego's the head, you're in the heart. Creation mind. Just ask yourself that, hey, ego, who's the boss anyway? Because you're not the boss of me. We always want to fit in. There's always all these people, right? We're always trying to seem to be our best or show our best or whatever to make other people think that we have it all together, that we don't need any help. In fact, I don't need anyone, or I've got this, I'm better than that. Sometimes we do that out of pride, which is the ego. And sometimes we just don't want other people to see our weaknesses, our shortcomings. But let me remind you of this. It's okay to be humble. Remember, Jesus Christ himself washed his disciples' feet. He was their leader. He was comfortable being humble. He didn't mind humility. They were the ones that were uncomfortable, but he was humble. So humility is the quality of being humble. As an adjective, humble is usually defined as not proud or arrogant, but modest. Okay, so we can be modest, we can be not prideful or arrogant, and still feel good about ourselves, right? We don't have to annihilate ourselves emotionally or socially to be humble. We can just be. I wonder why for so long that I thought I couldn't be humble and have self-worth. This week has really helped me with my self-worth. I don't know why I had to think more lowly of myself in order to not think too highly of myself. What the heck? But anyways, like I said, the podcasts this week have really helped me with my self-worth. And I hope that it's helped you too. So you guys, I know I always say this, but if you haven't listened to the podcast this week, please go back and listen. Every day it was really good. So here's this thing that changed my life. More to follow on this because I know this is like groundbreaking for me. Bill suggested doing a lesson, going back through each of our relationships and all sorts of relationships, not just your romantic ones, but any of them that have strife and discourse or conflict, which is probably all of them, right? Well, at least for mine, they are. Sorry. Ask yourself, what was my role in that? Well, I'll just tell you an overview of mine. I've had one-sided relationships romantically. And of course, I knew that it was my fault, but I didn't know why, right? So I haven't had many relationships, but they're always lopsided because I'm always the fixer. I'm always the giver. I always think love can conquer all. Well, I used to think that. I've actually turned over a new leaf this week. So I did the exercise that Bill challenged us for. I took it really seriously and I gave myself several hours to do it. I even counted in for the fact that Lucy, my ego, was going to fight me on it for at least 20 minutes. And then, of course, Peggy, my real self, that I don't want to like stab myself in the heart too much. I knew that it was going to hurt and that it would be painful. So I knew that I'd procrastinate, get a cup of tea and make sure I had my water and, all my stuff. So I gave myself 3 hours. I put a do not disturb on my office door. I didn't have my phone with me. So turn off your phone or just put your phone someplace else. I had no plans pressing afterwards. I wasn't looking at the clock. I didn't care. I gave myself 3 hours, but my next thing wasn't like a hard, meeting or anything. And I just dug in. And boy, did I dig in deep. So the way I did it was I started with my most recent failed relationship. And I was just trying to talk to myself, like, what was my role in that? To me, just talking to me, which my last relationship really crushed me because I really wanted it to work out. And so I started there. What was my role in that? Well, my role was that I allowed him to treat me the way that he did. And I stayed with him, even though I would tell him, if you're not going to put in 100%, I'm not going to keep trying. But I did keep trying, lots of other things like that. But that kind of felt like a cop-out. So why did I do that? Why did I stay when I wasn't getting what I needed? What was my role in the allowing of him to not put in 100% like I was? What was my role in not having an equal partner? Well, my role was that I really wanted it to last because I didn't want to see myself as a failure again. What was my role in that? Where did that come from? Well, that came from knowing that I'd failed previously and felt like crap. That came from knowing that people would think, oh, Peggy screwed up another relationship. That came from how I knew that people would say, I knew, supposedly my ego knew, oh, that wasn't going to last. Okay, so what's my role in that? What's my role in the strife that I've had with my kids for over the years? What's my role in working myself to the bone when I should have been at home taking better care of my kids? What's my role in dragging this, oh, poor me victimhood through these years with me? What was my role? I did this with every relationship that I could think of. Each serious relationship, including boyfriends that I didn't marry, each of my children individually by name, each of my siblings individually by name. And yeah, I've got 6 of them, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. There's 7 of us in total. Each of my parents individually, and friends that I had big problems with. I mean, you get the picture. All the intimate relationships in my life. And guys, I went all the way back. So this took me those few hours that I planned out, and I cried, and I saw my ego jumping in and trying to make things better for me. Oh, that wasn't your fault. They shouldn't have treated you like that. No, Lucy, it's okay. That's not this exercise. Step back. I'm not a victim. What was my role in that? I just dug in more and more and more. And believe me, I had a role every single time where at the beginning of this exercise, I didn't. I couldn't even see it. You guys, I think that this exercise, if I keep working through it and processing these feelings, that this will create the shift that I need. I'm finally going to be able to let go of my past. So this relationship category has been holding me down. It like kicks my butt over and over. And believe me, I can hear my ego saying, whose fault is it but your own? You're 61 years old and you've never had a successful relationship. And it's true. But guess what? My past doesn't define me. Every day is a new day. I can start over right now. I have a bright future. And I spend so much time in humility, using Bill's definition of humility, which is freedom from pride. That's the pride energy which sticks, which sucks. It's heavy and hard because it keeps us stuck. That's the pride that makes us think that we're better than other people and that our way is the right way when we know it's actually not. That's the pride that we're talking about in the Bible scriptures I was reading earlier. Once in a while, I get stuck in negative pride, of course. I think everybody does, but it's not very often. It certainly doesn't last very long because that kind of pride isn't really a part of me. I don't know if I should say I try, but I want to be willing to listen. So I try to put down my deaf effect as much as possible and hear and see and know that I think I'm doing it right. But if other people have other suggestions, I better try them, right? I'm proud of the work that I've done so far in my life, the work that I've done on me. I'm proud of the person that I've become. I'm proud of the accomplishments that I've made and the strides that I've made in my life, that I'm not just a housewife the way I was raised to be, and that I'm able to help other people. It's okay to be proud of that. It really is okay. I'm proud of myself and I have humility at the same time. So that is the message that I'm trying to get across to you guys today. Humbleness is not low self-worth. It's okay to be proud of yourself as long as you're not stuck in the pride energy. Humility does not mean that you can't have self-worth. Humility doesn't mean that you're more valuable. Humility does not mean that you're not more valuable than all of the silver and gold in the world. You are. Remember, the ego's not the boss of you, and that's your head. Let your heart be the boss of you, your creation mind, the Holy Spirit. You guys, I hope that this message resonates with you, and I really hope that it helps you on your journey to becoming your best self. As always, I hope that you enjoy my podcast, and I thank you so much for listening. Let's stay connected. Please follow me at PeggyWithPurpose. And if you've not read my book yet, it's named Finally, Becoming the Person You Were Always Meant to Be. And I would love it if you enjoyed that book. You can find it at major booksellers or on my website, PeggyRomero.com. I will send you a signed copy. You can contact me there for any reason, which I know, and I'm thankful that some of you guys have. And you can also reach me at Peggy@livingrightwithbillcourtright.com. That's it for today's podcast. I hope you enjoy your Saturday. We would love it if you joined us on our mission to create a shift in the planet, and you can do so by clicking like, share, and subscribe. The links are right below the show notes. Remember, live every day on purpose. And as always, until next time, stay inspired.